Omar here with a video inquiry analysis. Today it's on disruptive innovation theory. So today's videos were actually kind of cool. A bunch of them were videos on how robotics and AI systems. I really liked the acro robotic ones where it had the quadcopters, and then the quadcopters were able to function in real time in space. What happened is it's like a helicopter, but it had 4 different propellers that were facing up, and he had it do some pretty cool things. He put a rod on top of it that had a ball on the end, and so the way it worked, the way the quadcopter worked, it had cameras on the ceiling that would feed information to the quadcopter, letting it know where it is in space, taking pictures, sending information so that when it was balancing the rod on top, the rod had a reflective ball on top so that it could keep track of it. So when the quadcopter started moving, or to balance it, it knew exactly how to adjust in order to stay in the same place. Then he put a cup with glass cup with water in it, and again it was the same thing. He had this wand where he could direct exactly where he wanted the quadcopter to go, and by doing so he allowed himself to move around the glass, and the water never spilled because he explained it. But basically, I think layman's terms is that there wasn't enough force acting on the outside of the glass in order for the water to spill out. Then another thing that he did was he used, I guess it was Connect, or one of those things where you could hook up to an Xbox or a Wii or PlayStation, where it's a camera that takes real-time motion of what you're doing in order to play. And he took that, and then he used that in order to control the quadcopters. So with his hand movements and his gestures, he was able to move the quadcopters back and forth, up and down, even have them land. Then another thing, some of the other stuff that videos that we were watching, is they had little soccer teams that played soccer in real time. The fastest ones were the ones that were like shaped like cylinders and had wheels on it. And again, it was the same system where it had cameras overhead in order to direct the robots to where they should go in order to receive the ball, send the ball, and all that. They're saying that it was a little bit easier than humans playing, because in humans you have to actually communicate, you have to yell at each other, tell each other where you're going, what's happening, this and that. Whereas with computers, since it's all going through one mainframe, one system, it just sends, alright, well, you're closer, you go, you're in a better position, so you go forward. And it was actually pretty fun to watch. Some other ones where they actually had little humanoid robots that walked around and did all that. But it was funny. The funniest thing I found is when they fell, how they got up. That was interesting. They do some sort of split movement and then stand back up, and it was really interesting. After that, I watched Christensen's argument, and what he was talking about is he used a trend line, a graph where most people were going this way, and then all of a sudden there's this line that shoots up this way, which is the disruptive innovation theory, where all of a sudden everybody's going at this pace, going in the same direction. It's all symmetrical. He was using examples of some processors back then where you were typing, you'd actually have to stop and slow down and let the processor catch up with you. Nowadays, it's thinking ahead for you, it's auto-correcting, it's doing all these other things, it's going ahead of its time. So what he's saying is that this disruptive innovation theory is that all of a sudden we're going here, and then it hits that curve, that exponential growth, where everything changes, everything becomes faster, and everything goes ahead, so much quicker than before. And it's disruptive because some companies are ready for it, other companies aren't. Most people aren't ready for what's happening, and so it caused a disruption in, I guess, the system. He was giving an example, I can't remember the company, but they were doing so great, and then at the turn of the 90s, all of a sudden they plummeted. They just crashed because of what happened. That everything just skyrocketed after that. And that's kind of what we're seeing now with all this AI systems and robotic systems, that things are just skyrocketing out, and things are going to change very quickly. That's what I got.